everybody. I am Brandon Andrews from Values Partnerships, and this is Virtual Tank. Values Partnerships leads a nationwide casting tour for ABC's Shark Tank, focused on making sure that the diversity in the audience watching at home is reflected in the entrepreneurs that are pitching on the show. Because of the pandemic, we can't do our in-person casting events all around the country. So we're doing a series of virtual conversations with Shark Tank alums, plus our partners that are working with entrepreneurs and innovators all around the country. Today, we are partnering with the IGDA Foundation, International Game Developers Association. We have Nika from the IGDA Foundation joining us to tell us a little bit about the work that they are doing. In addition to hearing from Nika, we're also going to hear from a Shark Tank alum, someone who just pitched on season 12 of the show, Samantha John, CEO of Hopscotch. And we have Anna Sweet from Bad Robot Games to give us some perspective on developing a game or a gaming studio, and also some tips, I think, on pitching those kinds of businesses and how those businesses work. It's going to be a great conversation, and super excited, of course, before we close out today, to hear pitches from many of you who are tuning in with us today. So thank you for joining us for our Virtual Tank Gaming Edition. With that, I want to introduce everyone to Nika Nar from the IGDA Foundation. Nika, would love for you to share a little bit about what the IGDA Foundation is, who you work with, and how entrepreneurs, game developers, etc., can connect with you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Brandon Andrews, and to Values Partnerships for co-hosting and creating the space for us. My name is Nika Noor. I'm the Executive Director of the International Game Developers Association Foundation. We believe that every person who wants to make or play games should have the opportunity to do so. I'm currently working out of Kansas City, Missouri. I am an avid gamer growing up and have spent my career destigmatizing what it means to be a gamer, what it means to make games, and what it means to be a part of this whole experience that is play. We really focus on not just our international scope and reach, but vehemently believe that it doesn't matter the type of body you were born in, or the skin that you're wearing, or your race, gender, creed, whatever it is. Video games are not a barrier based on your background or your preferences. And I really believe that every single person should get their shot. So we work exclusively on increasing the workforce representation in the video game industry. We want it to be diverse, we want it to be equitable, we want it to be inclusive, and we are very, very grateful to Values Partnerships for allowing us to work through our relationships and our support structures so that every studio, no matter where you are or what you're doing or what you're wearing, has the opportunity to be the next CEO and develop the next diverse generation of leaders in the video game industry. Please make sure that even after this, just follow us on Twitter at IGDA Foundation. We've got exciting programs and scholarships that are open year-round, and we really look forward to working together and providing more resources and opportunities so that you can get a job in the video game industry or develop your own company. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nika, and thanks for the work that you and the IGDA Foundation are doing every day. Happy to partner with you, and of course would love to find some opportunities to work together again in the future. Now I want to introduce everyone to Samantha John, who is the CEO of Hopscotch, a part of season 12 of ABC's Shark Tank, so this past season of the show. Samantha, I would love for you to introduce yourself to everyone and maybe share what was the genesis moment for Hopscotch. Why did you decide that this was the company that you needed to start and that this entity needed to be in the world?
Thanks for that intro, Brandon. And so cool to hear about IGDAF, Nika. Hello, everyone. I'm Samantha John. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Hopscotch. And what Nico was saying about the mission of IGDA really resonated with me in that, I actually wasn't a gamer growing up, and I felt a lot of stigma around computers. I was like, oh, this is not for me. This is for my brother or for boys, or it's not for me. Even though I thought video games seemed pretty fun. And it wasn't until college that I started learning programming and became entranced with it. It was this super creative pursuit that was also used kind of the logical side of your brain, but at the end of the day, you had made something, you had made a game or an animation or whatever it was. And I started Hopscotch to reach out to all the young Samanthas in the world and show them that there was a platform that they could use to learn programming, to create their own games that was inviting to them and that was actually made for them. And that was kind of the inspiration behind why I wanted to start this.
That's such a great mission, Samantha, and thanks so much for sharing some of your personal story as well. I meet entrepreneurs all the time, and for every one entrepreneur I meet, I probably meet 2 or 3 or 4 aspiring entrepreneurs, people that want to start a business. Maybe they don't have an idea. And I always tell people, start with the problems that you're encountering in your everyday life. Start with maybe some of the things that you have overcome that were difficult, that you want to make easier for the next generation of people or easier for other people in the world that are experiencing the same thing that you are. And so you're definitely living proof that that model works, and so happy that you started Hopscotch. Now let's talk about Shark Tank. Of course, again, you pitched on season 12 of the show. When did you first think, maybe I should apply for Shark Tank? Maybe this would be a great opportunity for me and my business?
So we actually were looking to we've been around for a while. So Hopscotch launched in the App Store in 2013. And because we're making a platform to make games, we're not just making a game, we're making a game making tool. It's a business that takes a long time because you have to get users, you have to teach the users the tool, and then those people, they get good at Hopscotch over a period of years. So a lot of our best users have been using Hopscotch for 6 years. They start when they're 12, now they're 18. They're still going and making better and better games. So we were getting to the point where we were launching some things that we thought were really exciting, and we wanted to start to get the word out about what we were building, what were the opportunities for developers in Hopscotch for kids who want to learn to code, like how far could they take it? So that was kind of the background of why I thought something like Shark Tank would be a good idea. And then I actually got a message on LinkedIn from a casting producer on Shark Tank. And we had a call, and he convinced me to make an audition tape. And that was kind of the genesis that was the starting off point for how I ended up on Shark Tank.
Yeah. Well, so glad that you responded to that random LinkedIn message from one of my colleagues. There are a couple ways for those of you that are interested in Shark Tank to kind of get into the pipeline for the show. One way is to come to our casting calls. Of course, we've had in-person casting calls prior to this year, but because of the pandemic, again, we've been doing virtual casting calls for the past year or so. One way is to come to one of these events and meet somebody like me and get into the pipeline. And of course, everyone that signed up and applied to pitch and we'll get reviewed for season 13 of the show today. The other way is we do outreach to entrepreneurs or to businesses that we think have some potential. And so again, happy that you responded. The first step is usually to submit some information or to have that initial conversation. Second step is usually to submit a video where we learn a little bit more about you, a little bit more about the business. And then after that, it's really an individualized process, just depending on who you are and what kind of business you have. Let's talk a little bit now about your actual experience on the show. What was it like to show up to pitch in front of the Sharks, and did you do anything in particular to prepare for it?
The short answer, yes, I did a lot to prepare for it. It was interesting because I've pitched investors before, and pitching Shark Tank was actually really different than a lot of other investor meetings I've had for many reasons. Even at that point, I filmed it during COVID. So even seeing people was very different than a lot of experiences at that time. But the producers actually work with you to craft your pitch and make sure that it is something that will play well on TV. They have you send in videos of you practicing your pitch, so you memorize it, you refine the language, and that was actually really great and really helpful because I had this base truth of the pitch that I had come up with that I was going to pitch. And I think sometimes in other investor situations, you'll change your pitch. You'll pitch a bunch of investors and you'll change it. But this was kind of higher pressure because there was only one chance to do the pitch. But in some ways, I was able to focus around that one story that I was telling. The week leading up to Shark Tank, I actually called up all of my friends and family and had them listen to practice pitches from me and then ask me questions as if they were the sharks. And at the beginning of that week, I was terrible. I was like, if I went on the show like this and stumbled over my words, like didn't know my numbers, didn't know anything, it would have been so embarrassing. So it was really, at least for me, it was really good to practice just answering questions, practice thinking on my feet, start to get a muscle memory of how to respond to questions.
Yeah, I think practicing is definitely super important, and thanks to your community for being responsive to you and helping you prepare for everything. Now, let's talk a little bit about your business in particular. Do you think because of the tech aspect of your business, or because you are helping people build games, it's more of a platform for others to use versus an actual product, so to speak? Did you have to make any changes to your pitch to make sure that it was, I guess, simple enough, or that it came across to a broad audience in a way which is, maybe something that some other game devs and others on the call may be thinking?
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me start. I realized I didn't actually say what Hopscotch does. We are a game platform for kids. So what that means is that kids can join Hopscotch. They can learn to code. We have a lot of tutorials you can follow that will kind of guide you through knowing nothing to being able to make your own games. Then you can start making games on your own, sharing them with our community of hundreds of thousands of kids. And then the last step is we introduced a virtual currency last year, and now we're letting kids sell items in their games for virtual currency. And we're just like this week actually rolling out a system by which kids can exchange their virtual currency for real money. So we're kind of taking you on this journey from knowing nothing about coding to learning to code to becoming an actual game entrepreneur on our platform. Wow. Obviously, that is like a very, in some ways, a very technical product, because it's not even just a game, it is a game platform. The things that are hard about that pitching on Shark Tank is that you don't have a physical item for the sharks to hold in their hands. You can't build a display of like candy bars or demonstrate fishing gear, or I've seen a lot of really cool demos that people have done. The good thing though is that Shark Tank is on TV, so you are pitching to a flat medium, because the audience who's watching Shark Tank on TV, they can't touch those items either. It's just the sharks who are able to touch them. So what we did is we relied heavily on video. We did a lot of videos of the games that kids had made and demos of how those games worked. We also had demos of the app that we let the sharks play with, and that was a lot of fun. And then lastly, this I actually thought was super cool. we have characters that you can use to code as characters in the games that you make. So you can add your own art, but we do give you some pre-built art that all has a certain visual look to it. So we actually printed out cardboard cutouts of the Hopscotch characters and made this display of Hopscotch characters that was standing behind me. And that was super cool. I actually took them home with me and sent them to my team members. So
yeah, those are great souvenirs.
They're great souvenirs. So now on our video calls with our team, people will have Hopscotch characters behind them.
Cool. Wow. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing a little bit more about what Hopscotch is and how you engage with your users, and also about how you prepared to pitch on season 12 of Shark Tank. And I'm sure your tips will be helpful for some of the entrepreneurs and game devs that are in the session. Anna, would love to bring you in here as someone who has worked in this space for a long time and now is running a studio and probably listening to pitches and presentations from devs about new ideas and new products in this space. How did what Samantha just said in terms of her preparation to pitch to a broad audience compare to what you might share with someone talking to you about some new idea in the game space, in the gaming space?
Yeah, I think whenever you're pitching, it's really important to know the audience of two things. One, who you're pitching to, what are the things that they're excited about? And then also the audience of your product, like being able to say really concretely, this is a platform for kids of this age group, this is how they'll use it, this is the journey they'll go on as they continue to engage with the game or the platform. I think really knowing who those people are and really sort of being able to embody the things that they're going to want out of your game or your experience, that's the most important part.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me. Samantha, to go back to you, what have you been up to since being on the show? And how can people connect with you and Hopscotch if they're interested in it?
Since being on the show, we when it aired, we got a huge boost in downloads as expected, which was really awesome, and a lot of attention. It was cool because it led me to reconnect with a lot of people in my life who I hadn't talked to for years, who saw me on Shark Tank, and that was really nice. And a college roommate emailed me, and my college roommate emailed me from Iran, where she lives now, which was crazy. Something that really surprised me actually was Hopscotch has not traditionally been super great at marketing. We've always we've gotten a lot of organic traffic, and we focused on building the product and building our community, but we haven't done a great job of outreaching to new people who might like it. And something that we saw after we went on Shark Tank was that we got this huge increase in downloads, like 5 times as many as we normally get. But then the thing that surprised me was we got 6 times as many people as normal converting to buying a subscription for Hopscotch. And I think that spoke a lot to how much the story resonated with people and how important that was to tell our story before you even come to the app. So it's something we've been working on. We hired a head of growth since then to kind of help distill what we had shown people on Hopscotch or on Shark Tank and try and bring that to more people who haven't heard of Hopscotch yet. Yeah. Well, definitely congrats on the progress, the continued progress since appearing on the show. And it's great to hear that you got a lot of downloads. It's great to hear that you got that Shark Tank bump. And I want to bring you in again. As you think about growing a business or the business side of gaming or game development, what suggestions do you have for new developers or people that have concepts and that are wanting to make them real?
I think this last year has been a very interesting year for the games industry. There was obviously a lot of people trapped inside their houses during the pandemic who needed something to do and picked up games for the first time. And I think, we saw both people playing more games, but we also saw lots and lots of new people becoming gamers. And I think even once the pandemic's over and we're all back outside again, I don't think very many of those people are going to just abandon gaming. I think we've made a bunch of people realize the fun and the enjoyment and the community that you can have around being a gamer. And so I think as I look at the future of creating content for those people, a lot of those people don't look like the gamers that we've thought of before. Like, they're from different backgrounds, different races, different genders, different ages. And so to me, it presents this amazing opportunity that we get to tell a bunch of different stories. We get to create a bunch of different games in ways that never existed before, because we're telling them for this now very interesting and diverse new audience. And so for me, I think it's a really great time to be kind of throwing away all the old preconceptions of what a game has to be and who the characters are and the world that it's set in, and just coming to the table with a really fresh perspective, because there's just this awesome new audience out there that we've got to make content for, or we're going to lose them.
Yeah. It was really cool to see so many more people in the space over the past year. And now the question is, how do you keep them there? How do you make it sustainable over time? And how do you make sure that you have content, that you have products that are going to meet this gaming community where they are today and where they're going in the future, versus, again, to your point, what the gaming personality or profile may have been in the past, or may just have been thought of or thought to be in the past. It may not have actually been accurate for a long time, just based on some of the participation rates we've seen across demographics for many years in the space. But great stuff. We're going to close out the conversation portion with a couple of questions. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, or you can use the QA. And then immediately after that, we are going into our pitches. I think first for pitches, we'll do Jenny from Tailova Games. And then we'll have a few more, as many as we can get in. But I'll respond to a couple of questions here as people are writing them. And if other folks have questions, feel free to drop those in, again, the chat, or use the QA. Pascal is asking, when does season 13 air? It will begin airing late September, early October. We actually don't have an air date for it yet because it hasn't been filmed yet, but late September, early October is usually when the new season of Shark Tank will air. And timelines for events or timeline in terms of leading up to filming. I'm meeting you today. Again, everyone who submitted information saying, yes, I'd like to pitch, or yes, I'd like to be considered for Shark Tank, we will review your information for season 13 of the show. If we see some potential, you'll get invited to submit a video where we learn a little bit more about you, a little bit more about the business. After that, you go through a diligence process, not unlike you might go through with any other potential capital resource, where we make sure you are who you say you are, your business does what you say it does. And at the end of that, as Samantha said, the team will start prepping you, helping you with thinking about marketing and how you will present yourself and your business on set. So at some point during that process, you would then know if you would get invited out to film. If you did get invited out, you would go out to Los Angeles, California, to Culver City specifically to film season 13 of the show. Again, new episodes begin airing late September, early October. The season usually goes through April or May, just depending on how many episodes get picked up. The episodes or the pitches in the episodes are not actually aired in the order that they are filmed. So you could film in September and air in October, or you could film in September and air in next April or next May of 2022. So it could be a little bit of a wait. That's all a production decision that's done during the season. And so you won't know what your air date is, or if you get an air date until at most probably a month and a half or so before you might appear on the air. So hopefully, Pascal, that answers all of your questions about next steps in the casting process. Rich is asking, are there any fees involved to pitch? No, there are no fees. If someone tells you that you need to pay them to get into the casting process for Shark Tank, you need to turn in the other direction and run and actually get their contact information and send it to me so that we can have our legal department do their thing, because this is a free process. Nothing about it will cost you any money or any equity in your business unless you strike a deal with the sharks themselves on set, on the show. There's no other exchange of money at any point during the casting process. And again, if you ever hear someone say that they need to be paid to help you get casted, they are not the kind of person that you want to be working with. How do you submit a pitch? I'll put the website link, but again, for Pat, if you submitted your info and said, yes, I'd like to pitch today, we already have it and we can review that, but I will drop the link just for everybody. Have we already selected everyone, Erica? No, everyone for season 13 has not been selected. So everyone on the call today has the opportunity to pitch to be on the show. So hopefully that responds to the bulk of the questions. Next, I want to go into our pitches. I'm going to have Jen come up as a panelist. We'll get her to start her video. So here's what we're going to do for the pitches today. I'd love to hear problem, solution, market opportunity, traction, and for you to make your ask. For your ask, you can pretend like this is Shark Tank, although this is virtual tank. I want to make the distinction, but you can pitch as if you were pitching to the sharks, or you can make an ask that's appropriate for a more general audience. So, hey, I want to, download my game, it's in the App Store, or follow me on IG, or sign up for my newsletter, something like that. But make sure that you make an ask. We're going to limit the pitches to about 90 seconds to make sure we get through as many as possible. After the initial pitch, you will get some feedback from myself and the other experts that we have here on the panel, which I'm very excited about. And again, this is not Shark Tank, the TV show. So just because you're pitching now doesn't mean you're going to make it on the show. Also, if you signed up to pitch and we don't get to you, just because you don't pitch now doesn't mean you won't make it on the show. This is just an opportunity for you to present, get some good feedback, and hopefully strengthen your opportunity to compete to be on season 13 of the show. So with that, Jenny, have you queued up here? And we're excited to learn a little bit more about your business. So Jenny, give us your name, the name of your game or game studio, or the name of your business. And then after that, I'll start the clock and you can take it away with your pitch.
Yeah, so my name is Jenny Shu. The name of my studio is Talofa Games, and the game that we're creating is Run to My Heart. And yeah, thank you, Brendan and Anna and Samantha as well, and Nika as well, for letting me know about this. So just personally, I am tired of paying $35 to be yelled at in either a red tinted room, a candlelit cycling room, or even running away from zombies as motivation to go and exercise. I personally love running. I've been running without a fear of zombies for about 10 years now. My entire family also runs. So together as a family, we created Run to My Heart, which is a mobile social running game where movement in the real world is the main game mechanic. So personally, I've been on the cross country team for about 10 years of my life as well. Just that aspect of being on a team, we really wanted to create in a game experience. So in the game, you'll be accompanied by many virtual running companions. So think Ring Fit Adventure meets Peloton. And the game has a dynamic audio system that gives these characters that human touch, where they'll give you personalized coaching, feedback that adapts to your pace, running goals, location, and even crack really bad dad jokes, just like real teammates, but it's all on demand instead of needing live instructors. And just like being on a team, you can run together with people all around the world in multiplayer run modes without needing them to wake up at 6 a.m. and meet you in the red room. So the more you run, the more you'll level up, increase your own fitness, and really it's like a cross-country team in your pocket. So my ask is really for people to download and play the game. It's currently in production. So what we're looking for is really just taking it to a greater audience.
Yeah, that was great. And right at about 90 seconds. So for those of you who think 90 seconds isn't enough to pitch a business and for folks to learn about what you're doing, Jenny just proved you wrong. So great job and congrats on what you built so far. Anna, let's start with you. What do you think about Jenny and her pitch?
I thought it was great. I'm a big fan of gamified fitness. So I liked how you tied it into some of the more well-established brands in the space like Peloton, but also how it was differentiated from that. So I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. Samantha, what about you? What did you think of the pitch?
Super cool product. I'm also a runner. I would emphasize more, you have such a cool background where you're like, I've been on a cross-country team. I think there's a lot of people who would like to run but don't have the motivation. And it seems like you have this kind of secret sauce where you're like, no, I know what motivates people. It's being on the cross-country team. It's having your friends. Zombies is a gimmick. Like, I think there's an app called Zombie Run or something. And this is what actually gets you there and doing it. So I think it's a great product, and you should continue to emphasize your strengths because you have a lot of them.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Nika, any thoughts on the pitch?
I love that great job, Jenny. I love that you tied this in to your family, that there's a dad joke element, that there's that personal touch. I think the one bit of feedback, if you're able to expand on your pitch, is, be mindful. I don't know the Sharks personally, right? But like maybe they don't know what a Ring Fit is, though we do think they know what a Peloton is. So attaching it a little bit more to that gamified space, if you are able to get to your pitch, to have those videos to demonstrate, hey, Nintendo's got a product out there, that the commercial viability is real. Even though gaming is big nowadays, like there are still gaming skeptics. And I think this is a great product, and I totally want to download it. So well done, you.
Yeah, I definitely, as a washed up has-been track athlete who tries to relive the glory days by distance running from time to time, it's definitely something I'd love to try as well. And I think my piece of feedback, Jenny, is just would have loved to have heard a little bit more about the current traction. So where you at from a user perspective? And again, I know you only had 90 seconds, but a little bit more of that would have I think been another layer for the cake that you built with the pitch. And for those that are curious, on set on Shark Tank, the pitches usually last 30, 45 minutes. So it's a real negotiation. However, it's pretty common for them to go over an hour. And I've seen them go over 2 hours from time to time, especially when there's lots of questions from the shark, or maybe there's already people on your cap table and you're looking to do a negotiation. So you will have plenty of time if you make it to the set to pitch your business. But Jenny, thanks again for sharing with us, and please drop a link in the chat if folks can check out your business somewhere, and I will move you back down. And next we'll have Dominion come up and share what he's working on. Everybody give Jenny a Zoom hand clap, and thanks again for joining us. All right, yeah, thanks for joining us today. So just like Jenny, we'll give you 90 seconds to talk a little bit about what you're working on. Just give us your name, the name of your business, and then I'll start the clock.
All right, so my name is Dominion, and the name of the business is Arutu. So thank you for taking all the time to listen. I've been in the gaming industry for 3 to 4 years now as an enthusiast, and ever since I started, I felt I was the only one. I'm from Nigeria, and I basically kept working at it and researching and learning and getting better as a game designer. I really felt I was the only one. And 2 years in, I realized I'm not the only one going through that problem. There is so much happening within the African gaming space, and no one really knows about it, not just externally, but even internally. And the solution is Arutu. So what Arutu is a social platform for game players, for game developers, game enthusiast organizations to basically share the content they're currently doing, but with a niche focus on the African gaming space. You see, when you talk about opportunity, you have to realize that Africa is currently the youngest continent on planet Earth. 19 out of the 20 youngest countries are African countries. The average age of an African is what, 22? Or I think even below that, and that is very young. So we want to cash out on that. We want to take that as an opportunity and basically build that community because it already exists. For some traction, we've been organizing education events for young Africans who want to go into the industry. And in most cases, we see ridiculous amounts of conversion. We put out posters, and in a matter of days, you already have hundreds of people pulling up and deciding to join. That shows you how much belief there is or how much enthusiasm there is, but there just isn't space enough. So we think a social platform like Arutu would be massive. It would grow within the space. We could even expand it global. But what we think right now is focusing on such an amazing and delicate market is a great way to go. So thank you very much.
And did you have an ask for today?
Oh, so I really want everyone to download the Arutu app once it comes out. It's still in production, obviously. So once we release it, we would like you to download and share.
Okay, well, great. Congrats on what you built so far. Would love to, maybe we'll start with Samantha this time. What did you think about Dominion's pitch?
I thought you had such a compelling offer idea where you're like, okay, Africa, youngest continent, there's this nascent gaming industry, no one knows what's going on, like we can solve that problem. I thought that was really great and clear. You started off, I thought, a little bit more, I would start with that and just like put that out in the first place. And then if you could share numbers around the gaming industry in Africa, I think that would also be really helpful. And then lastly, and I don't know how hard this would be, but if you can find access to like slightly better AV equipment, I mean, this is advice people have given me. Like if I have bad headphones, people are like, no, you sound, it actually makes a difference. And your internet connection was a little bit crackly, but I realized that that might just be hard by the nature of the telecoms in where you are.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Thanks for that advice, Samantha. Nika, what did you think?
Thanks again. Dominion, great pitch. I know it's so not easy, right? Pitching to a bunch of strangers on the internet. And I feel you. I think I would start, like, get the identity and the hook of Arutu out right away. I obviously know what Arutu's doing because I've been following your work closely, but I think getting kind of that identity and that brand and just practice, because your story is compelling. The work that you're doing is really, really critical. And I think just like pitching to the potted plants in your backyard or to a book or a shelf or to a friend, I think the more you do that, the more you can concretely get to the identity of Arutu as a platform so that we know what the product is. We're all gamers and tech geeks here, but for those that may not be so tech literate, we just want to make sure that the product shines through these pitches because you're doing really incredible work.
Yeah, definitely great advice. Great advice. And Anna, what did you think of the pitch?
Yeah, I loved it. It does sound like incredibly important work. For me, I think the more you can tie it back into the gaming community, like what do gamers there play? How do they spend their time? What types of games? What types of stories? Like, I think the more you can sort of expand on that and then tie it back around to having game developers who are building for those customers, I think that will close the loop on why this is such an important opportunity. And I think it'll make it really meaningful. I thought it was really great though.
Yeah. Thanks again, Dominion, for coming up and sharing what you're working on. And I'd certainly love to stay in contact and hear how the business continues to grow. And certainly if you ever want to practice your pitch again, feel free to reach out. Would love to hear it and share some additional feedback with you. We're going to have Gwendolyn Taylor come up next and share what she is working on. While Gwendolyn comes up, Anna, would love to hear from you and also, maybe Nika as well. What do you see as the new trends in the gaming industry. I know, Anna, you said we had all of these new gamers come into the community last year. Does this influx bring in some new trends? Are they looking for different things than maybe the traditional gaming audience has been looking for? What do you see there?
I think they absolutely will. I think that's on us to figure out. I think we have to, as game developers, we have to always be pushing on sort of the cutting edge of how you tell stories, how you build worlds, how you play games. I think for me, it's a combination of lots of people coming in to play games, but also to watch games. We're seeing more and more people watching on Twitch or YouTube or places like that. And so I think there's lots of interesting opportunities there too, of how do you engage both a new audience of gamers and also an incredibly fast growing audience of people watching games. I think there's lots of innovation to be had in both of those spaces. Yeah,
definitely incredibly important to make sure that we're paying attention to not only the fact that the audience is maybe changing, that the community is changing a bit, but also paying attention to what they're looking to actually engage with, what actually gets them going, what kind of games they're playing, and all of that. So yeah, definitely great stuff. And we'll be watching for those trends moving forward. Next, we'll have Gwendolyn come up and share what she is working on. Gwendolyn, it's great to see you today. Great to see your beautiful smile.
Great to see you.
So just like with the first couple of pitches, we're going to give you 90 seconds. Would love to hear your name, the name of your business, and then I'll start the clock.
All right, my name is Gwendolyn Taylor. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and the name of my company is Flip That House. Again, my name is Gwen, and I created a new board game entitled Flip That House. Can you see it on the screen here? Flip That House. I can't see it that good on my side, but hopefully you can see it on your side. I created this during COVID-19 when we all were sequestered in our homes. I'm a foster mom, so me and my foster son, we had a lot of free time on our hand. So Flip That House is all about the highs and lows of house flipping. So many people are into flipping now, but they don't realize the highs and lows that go with flipping and real estate investing. So what I did, I created the game. I actually started out just on some cardboard paper, and now I'm already at prototype. I think this is my third version of the prototype. I've had Egypt Shiraz's husband from HGTV. He was part of my last focus group for the game. So as you go through the game, each person is given a flip or a house, and not all flips are equal. And so you navigate through the game having to make these decisions that could either cost you or allow you to be the ultimate flipping mogul. And so what I found, even with the young people who have been part of my focus groups, that they have learned so much, they have gained so much information, and some of them are even interested in becoming a house flipper once they become of age. So what I'm looking for from the Sharks, I'm looking for an initial $100,000 to help with the initial inventory of the game, to purchase the initial inventory. And then I am hoping to obtain help with distribution, manufacturing, and then at some point, a licensing deal. It's been a blast. I have the support of my community. We already have a website underway, and we're starting to take pre-sales for the game. So lots of excitement here, lots of learning and information. And I just believe this game is going to empower a generation and create some generational wealth as well.
Yeah, that's great, Gwendolyn. Well, thank you so much for sharing what you're working on, and congrats on starting the new business during the pandemic. And yes. Yeah, it's great that you're doing all of the branding. You got the T-shirt, plus you got
got the T-shirt.
Nika would love to, and also I think it's great that we have a a card game, a physical game here, in addition to some of the virtual gaming in the virtual space that we've seen so far.
Yeah,
Nika, what
Egypt Shiraz's husband was ready to take it digital already. I said we got to get it. We got to get the first round done first, and then we definitely want to address taking it virtual. Then it could be worldwide.
Yeah, sounds great to me. Nika, what do you think?
Oh my gosh. Gwendolyn, you are so infectious. I feel your energy. I'm going to literally wear it the rest of the day. And I am a vicious tabletop gamer. Like, I have ruined families and relationships over my competitiveness.
Yes.
So I really love what you're putting forward. I think the quick piece of feedback, because I always want to see great big personalities just be even better. I would practice your pitch just like I told Dominion. Just keep telling it. Talk to yourself through your pitch. Saying it out loud versus saying it in your head is going to really square away and get kind of those gaps gone. And also, you do kind of pivot to your story and come back to it. So just get a sheet of paper or get a whiteboard and just outline. Like, first I'm going to say this, then I'm going to say this. And the better you've got kind of that outline, and the more you talk to yourself, talk to your potted plants, talk to your furniture, talk to your son, the better it's just going to get. This is awesome. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Yeah, great advice. Anna, what did you think about the game pitch?
I'm also a big board game fan, so I'm totally in. I would say, so for me, I know that there's so many shows about house flipping. And so I think if you could start from trying to get a sense of how many people are already fans of those shows, it will show that there's a really big audience who might be interested in a game version. And then I would also move the sort of game pitch piece up to the front, because I think it's most important that it's fun. And so you want to highlight the fun. And then telling your story just adds so much more emphasis alongside that. So I would just sort of reorder it and start with how many people out there already love this genre, and then what's fun about the game, and then lead into your story.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Samantha, what did you think?
I thought it was great. I think you have really wonderful energy. Totally agree with Nika there. And I think they kind of said everything I was going to say about, I do think the game description and the audience for it is a really great thing to have up front, especially I think the part about helping people who maybe have not, children who might not get a lot of training in financial literacy to give them this opportunity. I think that's so powerful. Since I'm a tech person, I'm gonna give you one piece of tech advice, which is, I think your green shirt is there. It like messes up the virtual background or something. Okay. So I would pitch without a virtual background, and then I think it'll come out a little bit better, because there's like something about green and virtual backgrounds that ends up messing up. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Samantha, making sure that the presentation is together.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Which is definitely important. Well, Gwendolyn, thank you again for coming up to pitch and to share what you're working on. Congrats on what you built so far, and of course, looking forward to taking a deeper dive into everything you've submitted and looking at it for season 13 of the show.
And thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. Happy to have you. So we're going to move you back down. I think we have time to maybe squeeze in one final pitch before we close out today. We'll have Monica come up. And Monica, just like the others, we'll give you 90 seconds. We'd love to hear your name, name of the business, and then we'll start the clock.
Oh, hello, I'm Monica. I am an independent game designer, and today I want to pitch my game called Rainbow Hunter. And the reason I made this game is I'm actually a scholar from IGDA Foundation, and I have to spend the past couple of years trying to get into the game industry as a game designer. And what I find is it's extremely hard for a woman of color, a queer woman, who is not native born in America, to be a game designer, because there's a lot of prejudice about what video game is, what there's like this bro culture try to break. And also like I find myself a lot of time working on games that satisfy the fantasy of white males. And there's this thing like called identification in game industry, where like we're making games that like create relatable experience to straight white males, which is the exact reason I want to create this game. This game is called Rainbow Hunter. I have the game is actually a homage to like the fan culture. It is inspired by some GDC talk I've watched. Some straight white male game dev give GDC talk explain what this fan fiction is, and I find like there should be games where queer people and queer women can express our own voice without having a straight white man say it for us. So this is exact reason I want to create this Rainbow Hunter game, which is going to be the first game in a Rainbow series. It's about, there's a thing called Rainbow Mountain. It's a resort where retired Rainbow live. And there are 2D Rainbows that once were the heart of countless young boys and girls. However, in the age of VTubers and AI, people can no longer be satisfied with two-dimensional charm, while three-dimensional Rainbow take over the market of young heart. Heck, these days, even anime prefer casting 3D Rainbow. So there they are, forgotten, left over, who are living away from people. And you play a 30-year-old woman who has given up on finding a boyfriend due to the tragic dating history. And you venture into Rainbow Mountain as your last resort to not dying alone. So the game mechanics is a combine of dating sim, narrative, and exploring puzzle action piece. And it's about a game like create this, have a more philosophical postmodern reading about the girly teenage girl culture in the early 90s. Like think about a lot of pixel art game you see on like Steam that has really a lot of guys was like, these are the things we used to play. And I want to make something like that that is nostalgia, but about like teenage girls in the 2000s. So
yeah, that's great, Monica. Do you have an ask today?
If you're interested, sorry, this is my follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Oh, yeah. And we are also looking for a programmer right now. So definitely like message me if there's something you're interested in contributing, working on. We're in pre-production right now. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming up and sharing what you're working on, Monica. Anna, we'll start with you. I know you are constantly seeing and hearing new game ideas. What did you think about Monica's pitch and her game concept?
So I love it. I think it's great. I think, it ties right into what I said earlier about making games for different kinds of audiences and different kinds of gamers. I think it would be great if there's any data you can add about, for instance, the dating sim market. Those games actually do incredibly well and have more customers than people would ever imagine. And so I think anything you can do to sort of tie into the opportunity size of creating content for this kind of audience will really be additive.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Samantha, what do you
yeah, to build on what Anna said, I think also just talking about like what is the queer market, just talking about like how many people are how many these people who are kind of overlooked are also gamers. Also, I love your background and like the little person that looks like you, and then sometimes the ears are over your head. Super cute.
Thank you.
That's great branding and a great way to share your contact info as well. And Nika, close us out here. Any thoughts on Monica's pitch or suggestions?
Monica, great job. I'm a big fan. I am also tired of the tech bros trying to speak for us and take in that voice. When you get into the pitch, I think, if you have the opportunity to expand, like feel free to take a breath when you're talking about the system and the hardships, because remember that in the games industry, we're all pretty familiar with it, but for mainstream or for a place like Shark Tank or the Sharks, like they might not totally get it. So feel free to kind of take your time as you're outlining the environment and then get to the point of the game a little bit quicker, because that's what we're all really here for. We really want to see what you're creating and ideating out of that. And the more you can finesse, again, the more you can practice. Like it is totally normal to get into a pitch and it's never right the first time, but getting back into the point of the game is going to be really what sells, because the product is amazing. And I hope and can't wait for you to find the programmer that's going to take it out of pre-production for you, because we want to see more diverse content. I love looking at independent creators coming out of their shell and building anew. So I'm really excited to see where it goes next, and I want to keep posted on your game idea for sure.
Thank you so much. This is very helpful.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks again, Nika, and thank you to Monica for coming up and sharing what you're working on, and of course, looking forward to seeing it continue to grow and come to life, hopefully in the near future. I'm going to move you back to the audience. Now is our time to close out. Unfortunately, we try to limit our virtual tank conversations to about an hour to be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you so much to our partner, IGDA Foundation, and Nika, for the incredible work that you are doing. Thank you to Anna, CEO of Bad Robot Games, for joining us today and sharing your expertise in the gaming space and so much helpful feedback for these entrepreneurs and game developers, game designers. And Samantha, thank you again for sharing your experience as an alumni of Shark Tank, just having pitched on season 12 of the show. I'm Brandon Andrews, again from Values Partnerships, and we do a nationwide casting tour for Shark Tank, making sure that the audience at home is reflected in the entrepreneurs pitching on the show. We are continuing these virtual tank events probably for another month or so, and so please stay tuned for more opportunities to pitch. If you didn't get to pitch today, I'm sorry that we ran out of time. However, again, we're going to review everything that you submit for season 13 of the show, and there will be a couple of additional opportunities to pitch at these virtual tank events before we close out casting for season 13 of the show. And so I'm very excited again to have all of you have joined us today. Samantha, I'll give you the last word. Any final tips or final thoughts before we leave?
You know, from what I've heard and from my own experience, I was running Hopscotch for 9 years before I went on Shark Tank. Hopefully your journey will be a little bit shorter, but just know that the startup journey can be a long one. And if you're, you're in the idea phase or you have a prototype, you might not make it onto Shark Tank the first time, but it's something that you can keep trying, and you're only going to get better every time you audition.
Yeah, that's a great piece to end on. Don't be dismayed. If you didn't get to pitch today, if you don't make it the first time, there's no penalty for coming back. Keep working on what you're building. Keep believing in the new reality or the new dream that you have in your mind and your heart. And good things will certainly come from that. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Feel free to reach out, and yes, we will follow up with the recording from this session, as well as the list of panelists and everyone who pitched. So you can connect with those folks in those organizations here later this month. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. Bye-bye.